Well, I guess when you're working for a corporation, it's probably more on.
Okay.
So maybe some past
Where did she go to law school? Where did she do her undergraduate work?
Those girls are saying your bells. Those girls are yeah, they're both bright. And they're both very intelligent. Tend to be very well in high school. Hopefully they get a job.
Paying attention to business and rights as sports. That's good following. And really take ownership. And that's a change. That's good. We haven't had any this year. There's been no snow removal happening at all. That's good, though. Full reservoirs. Yeah, beautiful. It's green on account of Irish Day. Good to see you.
How you doing?
How are you?
Nice to meet you. Alexander.
Alex?
Yeah.
Gary, Tough and Alex. How are you? Good, good. You're filming?
Yeah, doing some AV today.
Yeah, for yourself? Or?
No, I'm with the Democratic Party.
Oh, you're with Democrats?
Yeah.
Good. Here in Calaveras or
Oh, no, I'm from Sacramento.
Sacramento? You found your way up here?
Yeah, I'm the everywhere guy. Well, I know the area. I have some family that stays up here, so, you know, it's really easy to find.
So you have family here, huh?
Yeah.
Actually in Calaveras? Or?
Yeah, in Calaveras County. I think it's more of the rural part. We haven't came out here to visit in a couple of years, so afterwards, I'm waiting for an address and I'm going to stop by there. Yeah.
Good, good. Is that like an uncle or a niece?
Yeah, it's actually it's funny you say that. It's I guess we'd say a step uncle. It's my stepdad's brother, but it's like my dad. So.
You haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
I'll go see him. Yeah. Good for you.
We were, you know, I was like, when I was talking, you know, with everybody about coming down here, I was like, I've been there years, and we were talking, they're like, yeah, that's beautiful scenery, and I was like,
it is.
Man, and almost like, I was driving down here, and I was looking, it's almost like New Zealand.
This is our fairgrounds here. The backdrop is pretty amazing.
Look at it, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you guys are lucky. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully we get started here pretty quick. I've got like a quarter to 11 already.
Yeah, no, huge urban sprawl is destroying it all right now, yeah. It's very nice. Have a good day.
Thomas.
Thomas. Oh, yeah. Damn taxes. Geez. What price did I get him this year?
Take that hat off. I'll be wearing that hat. The man in denim.
Gotta remember. Leprechauns are like to get me machines.
Turkey's Irish days.
I don't know. It's like crappy. Weather looks crappy.
Well, it's not going to be nice to be like
Yeah, you're right. If you got cattle, I'm sure it is. I'm going to tell you something funny. Same gal that got, can't remember the last name. Same gal, she wanted the job. She's going to pick up the job she has now. She's going to do the investigator and job there. She's going to do it. And that's not him. She's too much of his own guy. Oh, yeah.
then if you go to a hearing, good luck.
For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Gary Topper-Boyer, the chair of the board here in Colorado County right now. I represent District 1, which is from San Andreas, headed west down to the Walls area. It includes Camposeco and La Quinta areas. This is the second year in a row that I've been asked to introduce the Congressman here at the town hall meetings. First, I want to say that the Congressman, unfortunately, because of redistricting, will not be our representative as of January 1st this coming year. And in my personal opinion, it's a loss. I've forged a great relationship with the Congressman on a lot of issues. He's helped here at Calaveras County. His staff is a wonderful staff. It would be a great loss. I can't say enough about Bob Miller, Marilyn, Peter. They're very accommodating. They help you. When you call them with issues, they're up to date on them. If they don't know them, they will investigate them for you, research them for you, and get back to you. And that's a key thing, is them getting back to you and helping you with the issues at this local level of representation here in Calaveras County. We've been able to overcome with the help of the Congressman. When I went back to Washington the first year, I was elected on a Cosgrove Creek flooding issue, and we went to the Congressman's office, and he was on his way out to a meeting, but he allowed us to use his office to meet with a lot of people to get some issues resolved. And I truly look back at that, I really appreciated the combination. Very accommodating on a lot of issues. Again, FEMA, his staff has hosted meetings with an agency. They've been very helpful and instrumental in resolving some of those issues, which are moving forward here. I wish I could elaborate right now on that, but we are making progress in bringing relief to our residents here in Calaveras County on our FEMA issues, and look forward in the coming months to some very good announcements regarding that. There was some LIDAR done over the course of the last year and early into this year that will be very instrumental when that information has been that data has been elaborated on and done, that the maps will be coming forward with some changes on it. That being said, I would like to say Dan Lungren has represented California's 3rd Congressional District, which stretches from Sacramento to the Sierra Nevada foothills since 2005. Dan serves as the chair of the House Administration Committee and is a respected colleague on the Judiciary Committee and the Homeland Security Committee, where he also serves as chair Congress from both sides of the aisle respect his thoughtful approach to their problems. They know Dan Lungren is a man whose experience today allows him to move out in front of the difficulties of tomorrow. Dan's relentless work ethic has earned a sterling reputation in the areas of promoting flood protection, championing small and large businesses, and continuing to protect us through his work with Homeland Security. Dan sees policy through the eyes of a family man. He and his wife, Bobby, have 3 adult children, Jeff, Kelly, and Kathleen, and 6 grandchildren, Reagan, Julia, Jack, Alexandria, Andrew, and Fiona. And with that, I give you Congressman Dan Lungren.
Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that. I appreciate the work relationship we have with you and other elected officials in the area. Tom Prine, the chair of the supervisors, has been real helpful in our work with all of you here. I know Jack Lynch, Vice Mayor of Angels Camp, has been very helpful, as have others who are your elected officials that we've worked with, and I appreciate Jack and Tom and Gary being here. The other mention was that with redistricting, we won't have the opportunity to be here after January 1st. We have 3 town hall meetings this week, 2 in communities that I will continue to represent. This one that I will not continue to represent. I just want to make sure you realize that we feel we have an obligation to continue to represent the area to the end of our term, which will be the beginning of January next year. So my staff will still be available. We'll still be working with you. We'll still be fighting to make sure FEMA understands the unique circumstances of this area, and perhaps that all maps are not created equal, and that there should be some understanding of the unique circumstances of this county and our other counties that we have in the foothills and the mountains. Let me reintroduce a number of members of my staff. Peter Tatish is my chief of staff. He works both here and back in D.C. Carolyn Herbs is my district director. She oversees the operations of the district office and is someone who makes sure that our casework constituent services get done. Debbie Jones is over on this side, a special assistant. She oversees our district budget and handles scheduling. Bob Aylard, who was mentioned before, is senior field representative for this area, as well as the other counties here in the mountain and foothill region. Oliver Chu is not here. He's someone that you might have talked with on the phone. He works very, very closely with people when they have an issue. Immigration service, military, postal service. Michelle Panos as constituent services representative, and she handles constituent issues dealing with VA, Social Security, IRS, Medicare, and along with Oliver Chu, as I say, who's not here, she manages the Congressional Art Competition and the Military Academy appointments. And we will continue for the Military Academy appointments, just because of the way the years work, even though those appointments will be for the next year, and I'm talking about 2013, because of the way it works, we will be making those appointments in 2012, the end of 2012. So young people who are interested in the Academy for entry in the year 2013 will still work with our office, and we're very, very proud of the young people from throughout our district who have gone to the military academies. I've been in Congress long enough to have them graduate and are serving in our military all around the world. They are great people. Now, a couple of things I would just mention. We are attempting to deal with a bill in the next couple of weeks. I go back to Washington, D.C. on Monday. We will start voting at 6:30 p.m. Washington time on Monday. We have for the next 2 weeks responsibility to try and come up with a transportation bill. That's the bill that determines how the spending is done for those monies that you and I pay when we go to the gas pump every time, and that percentage, which is the federal gas tax. And how that is spent is determined by a congressional act that has to be signed by the president. It's called the Transportation Bill. That bill runs out, the current bill runs out at the end of this month. So we're attempting to try and come up with something. The Senate passed a bill this last week. In the House, we're still working to try and find exactly how you come up with the proper formula. You say, well, that might be easy, just return all the money to the state government, to the state. It's a good idea. It seems to me we can make our own decisions. Unfortunately, that's not quite the way it works. There are interstate highways as well as state highways. There are projects that have a federal nexus versus ones that do not. And there is the question of how far outside of highways do you go. Mass transit, I'm one of those who believes that most of the money that's taken, if not all the money that's taken from us when we buy our gas, ought to go to the roads we are riding on. But a good portion of that, or a certain percent of that, has gone to transit programs. Secondly, the question is, do you go for non-federally connected roads and highways? And if so, how far do you go? Do you have some of those monies go to grants for sidewalks? I'm one of those that thought that maybe sidewalks ought to be the responsibility of local government. And do you pay for bicycle paths? I love bicycle paths. I use the one on the American River quite often, but I'm not sure, well, I am sure that's not a federal responsibility. So you have to figure out these formulas, and we've tried to refine it. They're, in the original proposal that we've been working on the Republican side of the House, we've taken 70 separate programs, consolidated them down to give greater decision-making at the local and state level. So that's what we're trying to work with. The budget is something that the Budget Committee in the House, of which I used to be a member, no longer a member, is still working. And we have always adopted a budget. When my side of the House has been in charge, at least in the House, not always been able to work something with the Senate. 2 years ago, I think it was, for the first time there was a decision made by the House, but it did not even pass a budget. I think that was irresponsible. Look, the Senate doesn't pass a budget, we can't come to an agreement. We at least should have a budget in the House which lays out the receipts, that is the money that's going to come to the government, what that's going to be, how we're going to spend your money, and the limits that we're going to place on ourselves. If you place no limits on yourself, you shouldn't be surprised that you have this kind of crazy spending that goes on. Hopefully everybody's gotten a copy of this. We sent it out in the mail. We also have some copies available here. This is the best presentation I can find, factual presentation, how we spend money and how we collect money. And so if you look at it, these numbers are not my numbers. Those are the official numbers. You can check them. Just to give you an idea how much we take in, how much we spend, and what do you know? There's a deficit there. There's the difference between the money that goes in and the money that goes out. And the deficit over the last couple of years has been at least $1.29 trillion every year. It's actually even higher the year before that at $1.5 trillion. The President's budget that he submitted to us forecasts an additional $5 trillion in deficits over the next 10 years to add the $15 trillion in total debt that we have that we're responsible for. I think we have to do something about it. I send this to everybody in my district so that you can have the facts, you can make the determination as to what you think your government ought to do or not do. Now we can argue about what we should or should not do, but I want to at least get the facts on the table so you can see that. This is a pie chart that basically just expresses this in a different way, but it shows you the percentage of the budget that goes to spending in different categories. Well, I've had several people come up to me and said, I assumed that 60% of our budget was going to the military. And I was surprised when I saw your numbers that shows that it's 19%. That's still a big chunk of change, but it's hardly the 60% that some people are suggesting that we spend. Now this is, what we've done here is to present to you, we could have taken any number, but we took a family of four that makes about $75,000, less than $75,000 a year, shows what on average they would be paying in taxes and then presents there where those taxes would go. Now, I'm not telling you that every dollar that you put in goes to that. What I'm saying is this would be the amount of tax that would be paid for that family on average. And then if you took the percentage of the budget as it's portrayed here, that would show you approximately where your money goes. Your money for the federal government. This is, right here, presentation of spending, and this is where spending is going to go based on projections in the future, the red, if we don't do anything. This path to prosperity is basically my articulation of where we believe it would go if we adopted the budget that I voted for this last year. Then these numbers, or these words are frankly my interpretation of it. You can agree or disagree, but that's my presentation, my conclusion, or some of the things that I've done and where we think we ought to go. So this is totally factual in terms of what the numbers are. This is a presentation of that. This is the application to how it would actually transfer to the money that you would pay if you were in that category. This is my presentation of where the budget I voted on, the green, would take us, versus these numbers are actually numbers that are not argued about, the red, where we're headed if we don't do anything. So that's the purpose of this. Well, let me say this. I heard a talk by Governor Christie of New Jersey not too long ago. He said, some people say, why am I successful in what I'm doing as governor of New Jersey? He says, nothing special about me. That's what he was talking about himself. He said, it is because people are fearful and angry right now that they want honesty above all. And he says, you can say a lot of things about me, but I'm honest. I tell you what the way it is. What I'm trying to do here is to give you the facts so that you, as a citizen of the United States, know what you're paying, what the government's paying, what it's taking in, what's going out, why we have a deficit, where the numbers are. Because if we don't at least start with the facts, we're not going to solve these problems that we have. We have huge problems right now. Now, I've heard from a lot of people up here, and other parts of the district, that, hey, we need to have more time to be able to tell you what we think. You delivered messages to us from Washington that we hear on television what's happening in Washington. We'd like to let you know what's happening here, what's important here. So, we have tried this format now for the last 3 town halls. This will be the 4th one, I believe, we've tried it on. Where I've got an open mic. I'm going to sit here with 2 of my staffers. We're going to take notes on anything you have to say. What do you think is important? What do you think is going right? What's going wrong? Where we ought to be going? Message you want me to take to Washington, D.C. We're going back there on Monday. The only thing is, because as I understand we have a restriction on use of the hall, and I apologize for being late. I got a little bit of a late start coming up from the valley. But as I understand it, we have a limited time. So what I just ask is if you could limit your time to 3 minutes apiece. I will not interrupt you. I will not immediately respond. We won't respond. We'll just let you from this district, most of whom I think are probably from the county. I see a couple of people who are from the next county, get a chance to tell us what you think is important. And then if we have some time, I'll try and respond, but we will respond to you. And if you want us to respond to you in detail personally, we will do that so long as you tell us how to get a hold of it. So I'm going to sit here, Peter's going to sit here, Marilyn's going to sit here, and we're going to be attentive to what you have to say. We'll see how this works. So please don't be shy. I haven't found you being shy up here in Calaveras County in the past.
I'm Wayne Starr. I live in Arnold, and I'm very concerned about what the National Forest is planning up there and what they're doing already, the changes up there. And specifically, the Canyon Rock Quarry in Avery is a wonderful community resource for shooting, safe shooting area. And it's been in use for that for 50 years or so. And apparently, just because of some noise complaints, making changes up there. And they have a gate closed right now, and in my mind, they're discriminating. It's supposedly a seasonal gate. They're discriminating against the spring turkey hunters who right about now are being trying to prepare their shotguns for the turkey season that starts within 2 weeks and can't use that facility for shooting. And in this day and age with all the terrorism and civil unrest and with the AB 109 thing, with the threat of that, there's a lot more need for just self-defense shooting and a place to do that. It's got nothing to do with recreation. And they're at seasonal gate, they're also planning and closing some roads up above, I think above Lake Pines Lake, which is the turkey hunting area up there. And those roads wouldn't be open until mid-April when the season's half over. So it's open for deer hunters, so I don't understand the discrimination there. Anyway, there's an information meeting at Independence Hall in White Pines Monday night from 5 to 8 p.m. And in my mind, it's kind of a cowardly thing to do rather than a public hearing, because you turn in written comments and you don't know, it might be 51 one way, you never know. You don't know who the opposition is or anything. And that kind of worries me. I thought it'd be really super if somebody from your staff maybe could attend and just kind of keep them honest, because we don't know where these comments go when they turn them in at night. And looking at my notes here, also they're planning on these road closures, takes all these gates and signs and all this kind of stuff. You know, where does the money come from that? There's something that the government shouldn't be doing now, I don't think. You know, maybe there's a way to stop the funding and all this new stuff that isn't really needed. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it. They're making changes up there that's completely irresponsible in my mind. And finally, last thing I'd like to say from people in Calaveras County, that their mission next year, and thank you very much for your service.
Good morning, Congressman. First of all, I'd like to say my name is Jack Lynch. I serve on the City Council of Angels Camp. I'd like to personally thank you and your staff for the wonderful service you've given to this part of the district, and I'm very, very sorry to see you leaving us. Your willingness to come to town meetings, participate in these kinds of sessions, and address all the questions that are on the citizens' minds is very, very profound. I've lived all over the United States. I've lived in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, and now California. And I have to say, honestly, of all the Congress people that have represented me in my lifetime, you have done the best job. You've been accessible, and your staff is supportive and responds to the citizens. That said, I've got a comment I'd like to pass on to you. I'd like to format this. I'd like to say I would like to see our illegal alien policies change. I recognize and appreciate your specific work in Congress to establish E-Verify as a way of documenting citizenship of workers in our country. However, I'd like to ask you, I don't need an answer right now, what are you willing to do to press the leadership of our Congress to allow the vote on the E-Verify bill? Thank you very much for being here again.
My name is Thomas Dye, and I'm from Sacramento. And I came to ask you, do you support women's health insurance covering contraception, women's contraception?
Good morning, Congressman. I'm really happy to see you here. I think it's a wonderful thing that you do, having these town hall meetings regularly. And this format sounds really good. I have a couple of concerns I want to speak with you about. One of them is about gas prices. I'm paying exorbitant profits on the part of the oil companies. They're making record profits, and some of my tax money, besides paying for the gas at the pump, over $4 a gallon, some of my tax money is actually going as subsidies to the oil companies while they're making record profits. They're not doing anything illegal. What they are doing is immoral. And they are taking advantage of all the tax loopholes that our Congress has created. And my challenge to you is to close those tax loopholes and to stop paying some of our tax money as direct subsidies to the oil companies. They don't need it. They're making record profits. And the other thing about the high price of gasoline, I understand a lot of that is because of the speculators in crude oil. The speculation in crude oil is what has driven the price of crude oil up. It's not a matter of supply and demand. It's a matter that is artificially inflated by the fact that the speculators have gotten into it. Free enterprise is a wonderful system. Capitalism is a wonderful system. But without regulation, unbridled greed takes over. That's why we had to pass the Sherman antitrust law a century ago. That's why we had to break up Standard Oil. There are many reasons why we have to have regulation, and we've gone too far in the direction of deregulation. The other concern that I want to speak with you about this morning is that John Boehner and Mitch McConnell have made it very, very clear that their top priority for the country is not the best interests of the country. Their top priority for the country is not for the best interests of the people. Their top priority is to get rid of Obama. And your voting record indicates that you go along with that. And we want you to represent the people of this county, not to be representing John Boehner and Mitch McConnell, Boehner, not to be going along with him when he does not have the best interests of the American country or of the people at heart. We want you to represent the people, not John Boehner.
Morning, Jack Green from Jackson, California. I had about 30 items, but that's limited to 3 minutes, so I'm cutting down to 8. First one was dealing with immigration. Seems to have taken a back burner here now that all the political stuff is going on. My idea for taking care of the immigration problem is take your border crossing stations, quadruple the number of agents there, give them the latest, greatest computer equipment, photography equipment, fingerprint equipment, and announce that you're going to hand out 13 million green cards on a first-come, first-served basis. And watch the stampede across the border to get a green card. And then you pass a law, once that's in place, that any company or anybody in this country that knowingly hires an illegal immigrant will be fined or thrown in jail. Secondly, foreign aid. How much money do we give to foreign countries? These are our taxpayer dollars. We're in trouble. Why don't we get rid of foreign aid? And if we can't do that, at least cut it by 10%. I think everybody could handle a 10% cut, no problem. The United Nations, big bloated bureaucracy. They've made a quote that they need a global system of revenue raising, meaning taxation, that they want to tax airline tickets, they want to tax currency transactions, and they want to tax carbon emissions. That's just in the talking stages. That scares the heck out of me. I don't know why we can't defund our membership in the United Nations. Defund our membership. As a U.S. citizen, as far as I'm concerned, all the gold in Fort Knox or wherever else we have it belongs to the taxpayers, not the federal government. I don't know why we can't get an accounting of where that gold is and how much we have. Whenever a country gets in trouble, the first thing they do is they start selling off federal land and selling off gold. Is that what we're doing? Or do we have our gold? If so, how much? The other one's not financial, but it's the power to grant pardons and clemency. I understand that's given to the President under the Constitution, and it was meant to be a good thing at the very beginning. However, the latest presidents have been abusing the heck out of this pardon commutation authority. The worst offender was President Clinton, 465 pardons and commutations. President Bush, 195. What's notable under President Clinton is Mark Rich. Anybody remembers him? He was given a pardon, immediately skipped the country, went to Switzerland, and lived in the fat life over there off of your taxpayer dollars. Every government has a lot of fat in their budget. I was in the military, and I saw this firsthand. You could cut every single department, including the military, by 10%, and they wouldn't skip a beat. The embassy in Iraq, if anybody's familiar with the embassy we built in Iraq, $750 million, the largest embassy in the world ever built. And I believe it was built so that we could establish a viceroy government over there. And I think the Iraqis know that that's what we were up to. There's no reason for that. Okay, I'm done.
Well, Will Rose from Sacramento. Once you know I'm a supporter, and I'd like to echo what the two gentlemen ahead of me said. But I'm basically here about this privatization bill at the airports. And I don't understand how that benefits me as a taxpayer or the citizens of the United States. One of the arguments is that the corporations will take this over, it'll be more effective. They will build a government at the same price that's being done now. And a corporation is a business to make a profit, so I don't understand how that benefits me as a taxpayer or anyone in the United States. If what we're doing is a sham, a threat of terrorism, we need to address that. Let's not give it back to corporations. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'm Mike Reston, Pathway Mines, California. I want to speak on the issue of Candy Rock Quarry. The other gentleman preceded me did a little bit. We've been battling for about 13 years to keep this site open. It's a very safe place to shoot. It's been studied by the NRA. They sprinkle holy water on it. And there's a certain amount of people, about 6, want to see it closed because they can hear the gunfire from their homes in a subdivision that was built about 20 or 30 years after the pit was being used for shooting. Some studies have been made, DB tests have been taken, the whole thing. There's never been any hard evidence of any wrongdoing there or incidents of holes in houses as claimed and such as that. Right now there is a deep study and a comment period running right now. And the local Forest Service will decide sometime this year whether to close it or not. It's about 2 miles from emergency medical services. It's helicopter accessible, it's handicap accessible, one of the only areas that is handicap accessible. And these people need to shut it down, which the unintended consequences is we're going to have people shooting all over the forest in bad venues, no backstop, no idea of where the bullets are going to end up, and such as this. And the Liberal Democrats are rabid about this. They are really supporting it, especially locally. It's only about 5 people, and they're being supported by a supervisor. And I have 1,200 signatures right now on petition, which is about 25% of the population of the total neighborhood, right here for you. There's a complete file with lots of information and comment from NRA members, police. The police use it extensively for practice, training, hunter safety programs, Boy Scouts, et cetera, et cetera. There have never been any hard crimes committed up there. other than people shooting out of hours. The Forest Service put hours on it on 14 May this last year, and since then, there's only been 16 citations. They were for people who were simply shooting out of hours, like going 60 and 55, etc. But no felons with arms, no drunks, none of that stuff. And the unintended consequences, we'll have garbage again in the forest, and people shooting everywhere like it was before. At one time, the Forest Service was recommending people to go there until these people started protesting. Thank you.
Sir, 3 minutes ain't much.
Though you regularly hear from me by email, I had to stop by today. Jim Meyer from Friendship Cordova, Sacramento County. I came to get a personal response to why you voted yes on H.R. 1837. The bill is titled to address certain water-related concerns in the San Joaquin River and for other purposes. The bill in the first pages, I have extra copies of it if you'd like, for anyone here as well. On page 4, it resets the baseline for all indigenous fish in the California Delta, including San Joaquin, Sacramento, American Rivers, Colony River, and Amador River, to the October 30, 1992 count, which is the lowest in historical record before the collapse of 2006 of salmon stocks. That was also the same date the CVPIA, the Central Valley Project Improvement Act, was passed in order to reduce corruption within the Bureau of Reclamation and with their water district purveyors. But that's also taken care of in this legislation on page 5, where it strikes limitation on contracts and contract reform, thus replacing it with the term contracts, and removes the Bureau of Reclamation's ability to negotiate contracts in any way that can only re-sign contracts that have been in effect in the last 40 years, with a 40-year time frame on those as dedicated in that section. The next section, for water transfers, removes all oversight ability of Bureau of Reclamation and the State of California on transfer